interpretive film and performance project has been produced by New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park. The program was funded by the National Park Service's Lower Mississippi Delta Initiative, an organization that strives to highlight culture and heritage in the Lower Mississippi Delta. Join us as we take a road trip to national parks in the Lower Mississippi Delta. Oh yeah. Tu connais c'est mon qui l'aime. Ton bonheur, puis encore dans le soir. Ton bonheur, puis encore dans le soir. Mon marché tout seul, mon qui me parle tout seul.
Oakland Plantation is one of two plantations that's part of Cane River Creole National Historical Park, the other being Magnolia. Both plantations sit along the Cane River and they tell a 200-year agricultural story, starting at the colonial era, going through the Civil War, and all the way up until the mid-20th century. When the Prud'hommes started this plantation back in the late 1700s, they were some of the first people to grow cotton in this region, and they were, quite wealthy. And then after the Civil War, times became more difficult, and they had to deal with the Reconstruction era, and eventually the boll weevil came, and there were all kinds of economic ups and downs with, the Great Depression being the big one. And so there were plenty of opportunities where they could have lost the plantation, but they found a way to keep it going, and that's a tremendous credit to them. But they couldn't have done it without all the other people who lived and worked here as well. The National Park Service here at Cane River has a very unique role. We preserve and protect the buildings, and we interpret the history, and we also work closely with partner organizations. Being that our park sits within a heritage area, that means there's a lot of other entities that we work with and assist and partner with for many projects. Some of which include the Creole Heritage Center at Northwestern State University, various native tribes around the area, and just ordinary folks who live within the heritage area, and they might have a historic building on their property. We help them in understanding the resources that they have, and we play a very important role in preserving and protecting and interpreting the history here on Cane River.
Ballon monté, ballon descend, ballon tombé dans l'eau. Ballon monté, ballon descend, ballon tombé dans l'eau. Mon aigle est parti.
So that's a big part of our story here, talking about the evolution of plantation life and agriculture. But another crucial part of our story is interpreting the contributions of the Creole people. And depending on who you ask, you might get a different definition of what Creole means, but the most widely accepted definition is that the Creoles are descended from Cane River's colonial people. And that's pretty vague because there was a lot of different people here in the colonial time. You had people of French descent and Spanish descent and Native American descent and African descent. And with all those people living together, a unique culture evolved out of that. And that culture is still thriving along Cane River today. And you know, in our park, along with the history of the plantations themselves, we talk about the language and food and music and architecture and religion of the Creole people that lived and still live in this area. Whether they be privately owned, state-owned, or federal, they all are part of the story here on Cane River. And so the park and the heritage area do have a very rich history to tell here.